Now, the head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Mick Mulvaney, is refusing to meet with his agency's Consumer Advisory Board. Now, this is according to different board members who have decided that they have had enough and they are speaking out. Now, the CFPB, under Acting Director Mick Mulvaney, has canceled, according to these members, 2 in-person meetings with the CAB, as well as numerous conference calls. However, the contact that they last had been limited to 1 phone call back in March that lasted about 20 minutes. That was actually supposed to be an hour-long meeting. 20 minutes is like, yo, gotta go. Sorry. Gotta go do something else. I gotta go deregulate Wall Street. See ya. Or I gotta do a fundraiser or something. I don't know what he was doing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was any of those things. Now, the most recent cancellation was for a scheduled meeting this week. Members only found out about it when they coordinated with the CFPB to make travel arrangements. So, you were going to tell them? Were you going to tell them that at all? No? Oh, well, it's sad. They had to find out on their own. Now, I love this. This is a quote here from Ann Bador, of the consumer organization Texas Appleseed and chair of the current Consumer Advisory Board. She says of the CFPB and Mulvaney, quote, "It appears the Bureau does not want to engage with us." Gee, I wonder why. I mean, could it be that Mick Mulvaney is basically there to destroy the agency, and so he doesn't give a shit about consumer protection? Could be. Could be. Now, on why she and the other members have been speaking out, she said, quote, "Staying silent would violate our ethical responsibility to the Bureau and the American people." Well, at least someone there has some sort of ethics, at least. But it's not just ethics, right? It's also the law. Section 1014 of Dodd-Frank mandated the creation of the Consumer Advisory Board of experts to consult with the CFPB about emerging practices and concerns within the lending industry and across the country. The board, whose 25 members are drawn from academia, consumer groups, and the financial service industry, at a minimum shall meet at least twice a year, per the statute. Under previous director Richard Cordray, who, look, he's a little bit of a problematic person, but at the same time, when he was at the CFPB, he did take this seriously. They met in 2-day sessions 3 times a year, with Cordray or senior staff present for the entire period. The CAB would discuss rulemaking, enforcement issues, financial education materials, and more. However, Bador says, since the change in leadership, we've seen a change in the lines of communication. Or like, basically the elimination of the lines of communication. Now, in letters to Mulvaney, the board wrote, "The undersigned members of the CAB are extremely concerned that our collective input is not valued." Well, that's because it's not valued. They don't care about your input. Look, you actually want to do your job and protect consumers. Mulvaney does not. His job, the only thing that he is there to do, is to dismantle the agency. Now, David Dayen, writing for The Intercept, notes that since taking over last November as acting director, Mulvaney has overseen efforts to sideline enforcement, undermine the offices of fair lending and student loan enforcement through restructuring, sought to delay a major rule governing payday lenders, and temporarily froze consumer complaint data collection. The CAB was not consulted on any of these changes, and why would they be? Because, of course, they don't care about consumers. Mick Mulvaney works for the corporations. He works for the lenders. Now, Lynn Drisdale, the low-income law firm Jacksonville Area Legal Aid, said, quote, of this, "It is disturbing to watch the current administration of this bureau do so much to undermine the bureau's core." She also said, "The present administration is more concerned with restructuring and installing political staff than protecting consumers." Now, why would you want to install political staff? Well, because they're yes men. They're political in nature, which means they're going to follow the politics of this. And when it comes to politics on the Republican side, it's, well, we have to deregulate industry. We can't have these constraining government regulations on our financial institutions. No, we've got to repeal those regulations. We've got to free up the banks so they can have more capital. Except that what are they doing with the capital? Well, let's look at what they did with the tax cuts. They put it pretty much all in stock buybacks. Just saying. So that's the whole reason Mulvaney is there, is to help those guys out. His banker friends and his banker buddies. So now, one more here. This is a quote here from Chi Wu with the National Consumer Law Center. She said, quote, "It's unclear what resource the CAB would have if the CFPB continues to refuse to meet. We are hoping that the acting director will start following the law and be open to feedback and input from a body that has provided valuable engagement for many years." Now, what is the response here? A CFPB spokesperson said, quote, "The advisory board and council provides valuable service and consultation. It is natural that new leadership would reevaluate its community and consumer outreach efforts, and that will necessarily include consideration of the timing, frequency, content, and other aspects of the Bureau's meetings." Right. Okay, let me translate that. We're sorry that that we don't actually give a fuck about our advisory board. And that we don't want to meet with them. We don't plan on doing our jobs. We never plan on doing our jobs. We work for corporations, you don't. That's why we don't care about you. And by the way, while we're in office, we're going to do as little as possible while the payday lenders and all our corporate friends continue to loot the American public. Look, Mulvaney leading the CFPB is the biggest farce in American history, I think. Or at least one of the biggest. He once called the CFPB a sick, sad joke. Well, the sick, sad joke is the fact that he's leading this agency. This is the perfect face of an administration that doesn't give a goddamn about you at all. They don't care. They work for the banks. They work for their donors. And they will never help you. That's what a Republican administration is all about. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.